Hey, what's up everybody? Nick here, back with another lockdown fly tying video. And a few days ago I did a fly, the PSPK, and I mentioned that it was one of my top producing pink salmon flies last summer. And I made reference to another fly that was my best producing fly. But I had said that I wasn't going to do a video for it just because it was so simple. Well, changed my mind this morning for a couple different reasons. One, I was preoccupied this morning with some other stuff, and I didn't have anything kind of set up ready to do a video. And I just saw this fly sitting on my desk and I thought, screw it, I'll just do that one, mainly because it's really quick and easy, doesn't require much effort. But the other reason being that this thing was just so insanely productive. As stupid as it is, as simple as it is, this fly outfished everything I fished in Puget Sound last year. And while originally we tied it on and fished it for pinks, this thing caught more coho and even chinook than any other fly, any standing by standard clousers. It's almost offensively simple. It's a blind monkey could probably tie this fly, and I don't know what exactly it mimics, but I'm here to tell you, salmon in Puget Sound really like it. So the story with this is I had two guys out from Montana to fish with me for 2 days in early August, and we had a couple of really good days. We caught a lot of pinks, we caught some coho, we caught a really nice chinook. First day we fished my standard flies. Second day, one of the guys that came, he handed me a box at one point with a bunch of flies that he'd fished in Alaska and wanted to tie something on. So I kind of looked through there, and as expected, it was a lot of like egg-sucking leeches and big bright bunny leeches and patterns that I wouldn't necessarily fish in Puget Sound. But he did have two of these goofy little things kind of hidden between a bunch of the bigger flies, and mainly because it was the only thing small enough that I would really feel confident enough in fishing. We tied one of these things on, and boy did he start catching fish. Oh man, he caught a lot of fish on this thing. He caught the first ocean coho of the season that day on this thing. He caught a really nice chinook, a fly caught chinook on a 6-weight, casting to pods of pinks, probably 10, 11, 12 pounds. Probably put the picture of it up in the beginning of this video. And so I went home that night, and of course I had to tie up a bunch of these. And from that moment on, we caught more fish on these than any 2 or 3 flies combined. Unbelievably simple, really easy to tie, and they just flat out work. What they actually look like, who knows? Shrimpy, I really couldn't tell you. But we caught enough fish on these things. Pink salmon first and foremost, because that's what we were fishing for, and what this fly is basically supposed to catch. But the number of coho and chinook that we hooked on this was pretty impressive. It just seems like any salmon in the area that saw this could not resist eating it. So I probably ended up tying up 100 of these over the summer. You know, it took me about 14 minutes to tie 100 of them, I think. It's about as easy as it gets, but it's perfect for me because especially when you're fishing every day, you just don't really want to spend a lot of time cranking out individual flies. So I'm just gonna go right at this one. Super easy, couple materials and a hook. That's about it. Just about anybody could tie this. Anybody could catch fish on it. So I'm tying this on it's a Daiichi 2546. This is a size 4, I believe. Let me make sure. Yeah, it's a size 4. I tie them on 4s and 2s, mainly because I like the stronger hook. I don't think your hook selection makes a big deal with this one. I'm using some pink Vivus 10-aught thread. I'm just going to come in here and lay down some thread up near the eye. I'm not going to really worry about going all the way back, mainly because we're not going to be tying anything very far back, so there's just no need to worry about that. I'm just going to come up here fairly close to the eye, closer than I would for like a standard clouser, and tie in a little thread bump here, putting some bead chain here. You could definitely do this with lead or brass eyes, a little heavier. I really like bead chain for pink flies. I like to fish pinks with a really slow retrieve, and so I don't want something super heavy that's going to be sinking drastically as I'm trying to fish over fish that are up in the water column. So I've just got some silver bead chain here, and I'm just going to get this attached to the hook. Now you can go to whatever lengths you want as far as durability on this fly. I don't go too crazy just because it is so easy to tie, and generally when I'm fishing pinks I'm fishing in fairly open water, so these flies, they get abused by the fish, but we're not usually banging them on rocks and things like that. But you could certainly add a bunch of glue and UV resin and do what you want if you want to make this super durable. I will add some glue just because I can, but like I said, I just don't worry about it a whole lot. I'll try to get ahead of the game and have something a little better for tomorrow. I know this is a pretty boring fly as far as tying goes, but I'm here to tell you this thing just freaking catches fish. It's really pretty funny. Just gonna make sure that my eyes are centered there. I see I got a little some of that stem sticking out here. There we go. And I'll just finish securing this. Just like with dumbbell eyes, I don't really want this to be sliding around the hook, although I'll tell you what, I don't think it matters with this pattern. So maybe I don't go quite as crazy as I do with like my standard clousers and things. Generally speaking, we fish these on intermediate or type 3 lines. Usually in deeper water. I generally wasn't right up on the beach. A lot of sight casting to the schools of fish. Although almost all of our coho and the chinook that we hooked on these things were caught just sort of blind casting into where we thought the fish were. So generally I like a fairly long leader for this, 7, 8, 9 feet. Not necessarily because the fish are leader shy. I just like to let that, like to get a little bit of more movement on my fly, and I feel like the longer leader kind of allows the jigginess and stuff to be emphasized. Maybe that's all in my head, but okay, get those eyes good and secure. What I use for this is big fly fiber. If you're not familiar with this stuff, it's just a synthetic hair basically. It's really long. It's great. We use it for like tying muskie and pike, and I use it for lingcod flies. It's pretty boring stuff, but it's really long, so it's great for big flies. The reason I've been using this is that I was copying the pattern that I saw, and this was the closest material I had to what the original that I saw was tied out of. You could certainly do this probably with anything. This is just pink big fly fiber. I'm just taking off a chunk. Notice I cut the ends pretty square. Not worried about it. Ordinarily I hate that, but with this fly it just doesn't matter. Just cut it to length. I don't want this super long, 1.5 inches maybe. Come in and tie that down right behind the bead chain. Just right on top of that hook. Really simple. Take a little bit of glue, put that in there just to let it kind of soak in and help really secure those fibers down. Like I said, the most abuse that these flies really took, at least for us, was from fish. So being that they're about 2 minutes to crank one out, it's not a big deal if they get chewed up by fish. So then I've got some pink crystal flash. This might be the UV, I cannot recall. I'm just going to take 3 or 4 strands. Not looking to make this super flashy, just looking to add a little bit of sparkle. Got three strands here. I'm going to tie those in right on top of the big fly fiber. About the same length, maybe just a little hair longer. Don't think it much matters. And then that's it. I told you this one was simple. The fly tyer in me hates this kind of stuff just because it just seems like all the effort and detail and everything that we go into for matching the hatch and tying flies that mimic all these food sources, and and then you come out with just some fibers lashed down to a hook, and it catches more fish than anything. So I get that, but I'm here to tell you this thing flat out produced for me. In fact, I plan to fish it a little bit more during non-pink years, just for coho or maybe chinook. As many fish as ate this thing. It was pretty impressive. So there you go. Super easy. You could add 50 of them to your box. It would take you about a half an hour. Put them in there. Use them next pink season. Trust me, they work. Show them to coho if you get a chance. They work for that as well. Very, very easy to tie. Very cheap. You're not going to cry if you lose one. So it's pretty nice in that regard. Hopefully tomorrow I'll have something a little bit more exciting for everybody. But just given that I had zero time this morning, it was a good time to crank this one out. So add a few to your box if they work for you. I'd love to hear about it. Hope everybody's having a good day out there, and thanks for watching.